Hey, Charles.
Yeah, brother, what's up?
We're live, Charles.
Okay, everybody. Today is
Puppy
Tuesday.
Mom? Who is Puppy Mom? Somebody's asking to come in. I have no idea who that is. I don't know who that is. Let me go start this thing going. All
Anyway,
right, bro.
yeah. Say hello to everybody. This is the
How you
20.
doing, my man? Hello, Friday, everybody. Hello, Friday. It's actually not Friday. What is today?
Today's Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Oh, you guys are color. Well, not really color coordinated.
Color coordinated,
Looks
yeah.
like purple.
Purple,
Looks like it's
purple.
blue.
Purple rain, purple rain.
Um. All right. Well, we got a bunch of people on. Everybody, welcome and thank you for joining us again tonight. A lot of developments again today. I'm almost tempted to check out who this Puppy Mom is. Puppy Mom. You know who Puppy Mom is, Charlie?
No, you can say hello and goodbye. You like?
Let me go make Charlie a. Hey, Puppy Mom.
Yep.
Well, let's have some fun, Charles. Let's just see who
Yeah.
Puppy Mom is.
Let's
I
see.
don't know. I mean, it's got to be somebody we know that has the code, the
Uh,
top secret code.
let's
I'm
see.
losing you, Charlie. Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yep. Let's see who that
Well,
is.
Puppy
Hello,
Mom is
Ollie.
on. Hello, Puppy Mom. Hey,
Hello.
Puppy Mom.
Are you there?
Hi,
Hi. Who is this?
my name is Angie. I'm a teacher in Hawaii.
Okay.
Hi. I. Are you with the coalition?
I'm not. I am familiar with them. I've seen some of their posts and things. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, I'm just curious how you got our code to come on. We're on Facebook Live, by the way. We just never had someone pop up before, so we thought it might be exciting to.
Oh, yeah. They had it on a Facebook page, so I thought I would check and see what it is. But I think I had the time wrong because it doesn't seem like there's anyone else on yet.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gonna
it's
be
no,
tomorrow. It's
it's
tomorrow night.
tomorrow night.
Oh,
That's all
Yeah,
right.
it's the coalition. Yeah, that's tomorrow night. The health and you get some
yes.
medical. Yeah,
That's tomorrow. I'm
that's
sorry. Okay. Goodbye.
no.
No, no, no.
We will see you tomorrow night.
See you tomorrow night.
All
Okay.
right. Take
Bye.
care. I kind of figured that was the case. You see, that's the wonderful thing about going live. You just never know what the heck is going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I saw Puppy Mom, I thought was somebody going to give me a puppy. I really
Yeah.
did. But Puppy Mom will be back on tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Charlie, tomorrow night we have a consortium. We have, I think, 6 guests tomorrow night that's going to talk about um, COVID, the health implications as it relates to teachers and students and going back to school. I think that's going to be a very exciting and informative show. We do know now that the superintendent has asked the Board of Education to extend the opening of schools till the 17th, so
Mm.
2 more weeks,
Yes.
um, or the 14th or whatever it is, but 2 weeks. And they will meet on Thursday to make the final vote. I don't envision them going against the recommendation of the superintendent. I think we can all expect the schools to be the opening of the schools to be extended for 2 weeks, which I think is a very good idea. I think it's a minimal. I was listening to the Radford High School principal on the news earlier, and he was saying with the 2 weeks he can get his staff and all of the room cleaners as well as the teachers and the aides trained up, getting all the necessary disinfecting equipment and supplies in place. They weren't ready to open up next week. They just weren't, and so we shall see. We shall see what happens on Thursday.
Well, the only thing that I question, and again, The missus told me, hey, just don't be so negative about things. And she's right. She's right. I'm looking for the safety of the children. But I did this analogy, and the analogy was that remember back in the old days when you had the intoxilizer, you had to set up the wet solution, and you had two different solutions to basically calibrate the intoxilizer machine before you have the subject blow into it to determine if they're intoxicated or not. They're over the
Hmm.
BHC level. Well, as a DUI officer, you had the opportunity of always checking that machine. So therefore, proficiency was always there. And yet, when you had patrol officers that made DUI arrests, they weren't they don't work on it all the time, and so therefore sometimes they miss steps, and unfortunately, it gets thrown out in court. So that's what I'm kind of worried about is when they do this cleaning process, will they have the schools just have one designated cleaning crew that will be proficient in cleaning between each classes, or are they expecting the teachers to clean when they between each classes? See, it's those kind of things. Unless the person continually does it, um, I don't know. It's just that it just takes that small glitch that can be very detrimental. Yeah, and I think that's what I worry about. So hopefully,
And I think that's he was talking about the training and making sure everybody's trained up to speed. But like you said, man, it's not just as simple as wiping down the desks. I mean, it's a whole process that the CDC recommends and that needs to be followed. And every teacher, every student, every staff member, every cleaning room cleaner, everybody's got to be trained up to the same level. Uh, because
I
again,
think yeah,
we're playing with a very dangerous virus.
I think what they should have is like what a hotel has, and that is the housekeepers clean, and then you have an inspectress. So you have a double check system, right?
Hmm.
Because should a child get sick, I mean, the parent, I definitely know the parent will scream bloody murder. And, to be fair to the schools, we don't know where it came from, but nevertheless, the schools will get targeted, the class will get targeted. And then, what do you do from there? That's that's the big dilemma. So would be nice to know if the Board of Education already addressed that. Should that happen, how will they address the media? Who will be the PIO? Are all the schools, even though each school has their own learning curriculum, the way they gave the preference to each principal to set it up, would there be a PIO that will address should, say, Pro City or Radford get one outbreak? I mean, are they going to answer just for that school, or will they be answering for all schools statewide? So it's those kind of things that might get a little technical, and I think because of the awareness that each member of our community has, they feel that now they have a vested interest. So they're gonna make their thoughts. They're gonna verbalize their thoughts, and I think the state has to be ready. They have to be ready.
Over 4,000 pages of testimony was
Hmm.
sent in. Over 4,000 pages of testimony. So that's quite a bit. That's a lot actually, and I think that kind of made the superintendent think a little bit. But if you listen to all of the school officials that have been talking on various newscasts, they were all in agreement, as far as I could tell, that we were just not ready. All of the things that you just talked about, Charlie, all of
Hmm.
those things that most people wouldn't even think about, those are the things that I think that's what they meant. We are not ready. What happens if something happens? We're seeing now, look at the clusters that's popping up now on Oahu.
Yep.
I mean, uh, Foodland. I mean, it's everywhere. The bars, and now you got that new cluster out of Kalihi.
Hmm.
Dr. Josh Green said that he expects a bunch more hospitalization cases this week. Uh, what's happening right now, Charlie, is now they're realizing that it is real, and not that they didn't believe it was real earlier. I honestly think that our state really believed, I don't think any of this was malicious, I really don't, but they really believed that we were going to get through this different from any other place in the country, that we were special, that Hawaii was different because we have aloha, that we were going to get through this in a smooth way. And now we're finding out, wait a minute, you see, this virus is no different than it is in Texas or in Arizona or in Florida. It's the same virus. We heard the doctors all tell us that the mutations are so minimal. It doesn't happen quickly. So what does that tell us? That this virus here is pretty damn similar to what we're seeing in other parts of the country. So why would we be any different? They said it's the heat, our tropical climate. Well, Florida's hot, Arizona's hot. I mean, they were saying things, and I appreciate what they're trying to do. They don't want to see chaos in Hawaii, and I still see people. One guy posted today, my good friend, what's his name, Dave? I forget his name. Just ripping me apart, telling me, that I'm being played, and they've played me a fool, and I'm fear mongering. Well, I'm not fear mongering. I mean, I'm not. This stuff is real. And I think now, if you listen to all of the state officials, Charlie, you listen to Dr. Bruce Anderson today. What a different tone. I don't know if you saw him on the news tonight. Quite a different tone tonight. It's now I sense the concern. I really do in his voice. Now it's, when you get an oh shit moment, we've all had them. They're having one right now. Because this thing is at the point where it can blow up tomorrow, on Thursday, on Friday, next week. Who knows? We know that tomorrow's numbers are probably going to be a lot higher than it was today. And now everyone's jumping around. What we're going to close bars? Closing bars is not going to solve the problem. So closing bars right now and allowing freedom of movement for everyone else is not going to solve the problem. I mean, I agree with that, but I think it's going to take a lot more than closing bars, because this virus is spreading here in Hawaii. That's just the truth. It's not nothing else. It's just the way it's what's happening.
I'd like to address what you just said. First of all, folks, again, I interpret fear mongering as someone who will stay online 24/7 and keep on spewing out the same BS. We're just repeating what the experts, and some of the information, we'll get it before the mainstream media gets it, and then we'll put it out. We'll put it out. So there's nothing that we've said that's different from what the experts say. And just so happened, what we've said is what many of the experts have said. Now, if we went the other way on the other side, then for those who feel that we're fear mongering, then we'll be friends. Then we'll be friends, right? So the thing is, for those individuals who think that, you got to distinguish between what we're reporting and what the general consensus is. So whether people verbalize their thoughts openly or not, but we're not fear mongering anybody. I mean, because that's just not what's happening. What I am sort of, I giggle within myself, is that when we first started, three and a half, close to 4 months ago, we said certain things that, oh boy, I mean, you keep on telling me the right word that I was chastised for. Irrelevance. I don't know. I mean, I was chastised up the yin yang. And then you notice, if you go back and you play that video, you'll see I'm awfully quiet after I was told that, right? Because I was a little bit hot under the collar. I said, okay, if I'm wrong, I'm going to eat my words. Guess what happened? Guess what happened? The same thing I've been asking for now has come to fruition. And that is, I've always said, and you've always said, Mel, that when anything happens, you use the example like a shark attack. They can give the beach, name the date, name the time the person was attacked. But they couldn't name the location when someone was infected what time was they were there, if they were shopping or not. They said they couldn't do that because it was HIPAA. Guess what? I guess HIPAA went out the door because now they're asking for the public's help, right? And what we're telling them is, I didn't want to be right. I just wanted to help you, to help the process, because we're going to have more eyes and ears involved, right? But no, everybody kept on kicking me in the balls and telling me, no, that cannot be done. That cannot be done. So I gave a couple of FUs and I said, okay, fine, Paul. I don't like talk already. Well, guess what happened? Da,
Well,
da,
I
da,
think
da.
you know, I
Sorry for that rant. Sorry for that rant.
no. I think back to when we started the show. I think back and we were just two guys concerned. Yeah, listening to experts. Yeah, listening to doctors. Not social media. We're listening to doctors. I mean, I remember having the discussions, Charlie. I mean, you have your connections, your resources. I have mine, and we would, talk to each other during the day and compare our notes, and then try to reach out to some of these guys. And
Yep.
I would welcome anyone on this show that still thinks this is not as bad as the flu. See, not too many people now are coming out and even mentioning the flu. Why? Because the number of deaths on COVID has surpassed the number of deaths caused by the flu, and we're only halfway through the year. So I think a famous politician once says, crickets. What happened to that bunch of people that were out there saying, you guys are scaring people? The flu is worse. Well, no, now we know, and we've heard it from every single medical doctor, not PhDs, medical doctors, people in the field, people that are out there treating COVID patients, not people that are reading books and teaching universities. No, we're talking about people that are in the field. And by the way, Dr. T is coming back on Thursday. He'll be our guest on Thursday night. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Thursday. What did I say? Thursday night. That's right. So we're going to forego our town hall Thursday because Dr. T's obviously his schedule. Tomorrow night we talked about the coalition of medical and educational experts, and then Friday we'll have our mayor Derek Kawakami on. So, but everyone told us the same thing. This is much more deadlier than the flu. Even when the numbers didn't show it, the experts were saying it. And that's what we just replayed, Charlie. You and I relayed that information to the people. In the beginning, I think I still do. I have an open mind. And anyone that wants to come on and say that this is not a dangerous virus, that this is something that we all got to learn to live with, that we got to go out and spread it in the community so that we can get herd immunity. I want to hear experts though, doctors, nothing against any of you, but we want to bring on the experts. I want to see the statistics. I want to see data, and we'll bring them on. Even if we disagree. Sam Shirai says, "Slow down, your mouth outrunning your brain." Sorry, Sam. It is what it is. I get passionate.
Yeah.
Because we are here trying to inform and educate people, right? That this virus is real. And now as the numbers are jumping on Oahu, we see the kind of the tide is changing towards, we got to do something now. And I see many of you have posted, total lockdown for a month, total lockdown for 2 weeks. Unfortunately, Charlie, I believe them and I agree with them that in fact, right now, as of this moment, that is what we need to do. We need to lock down the state for at least 2 weeks until we get a handle on this virus.
I just saw a post, and so I'd like to thank the individual, Brenda. They don't even talk about asymptomatic anymore. You're absolutely right. Here's the problem, and it happened today, and this is what we was always worried about. A traveler coming into Hawaii, father and son, was supposed to be observing quarantine, ended up getting arrested at the McCully shopping center. Okay, they closed down the shopping center because if you read the story, it happened when the security saw the teenage son in a stairwell. He looked lethargic, he looked tired, and he looked sick. Police passes by, security calls for help. They do the investigation. Father shows up, comes to find out they're supposed to be on a lockdown, on a 14-day quarantine. Guess what happened? They tested both of them. Both of them were positive for COVID. That means the only way that's possible, because the temperature check or any of the obvious checks didn't catch them at the airport. They came in like anybody else, but they had the virus. Okay? They had the virus. Now, I am just basing this on the report, because why would you be under a 14-day quarantine? If you're a local, you shouldn't be on a quarantine unless you went outside of the state. In any event, these two were supposed to be under quarantine. So people ask, hey, why did they arrest these two and take them to the medical facility? Okay. The reason being, because they tested positive. Now they got to go into isolation, and they put them in an isolative state where they can be monitored. That's the reason why. Okay. They're not letting them go home to self-isolate wherever that home is, because probably the percentage would be they wouldn't recognize it anyway, because they already broke quarantine. So now they have the virus, it's live. So the question is, where were they yesterday? Who did they come in contact with? They're not saying when they landed in Hawaii. They're not saying where they were supposed to go. So, there's a lot of these questions. So the thing is, if I were you, I would worry about, hey, I live in the Macaulay area. Show me the person's face, so at least I know if I came in contact with them or not. Supposedly they were on the news. They showed them on the news, but I didn't see it. But anyway, those are the things that, you got to be careful. You got to be careful of. That's all.
They showed them being isolated. I understand the whole HIPAA thing, and I understand all of the privacy and stuff. But again, we're in a dangerous time. We're in a dangerous pandemic. They said that they were going to have to stay at that facility for 10 days. So my common sense is telling me that if the quarantine is 14 days and they got to spend 10 more days, they've been here for 4 days. But then again, if today you test positive, you quarantine, your isolation starts today, not 4 days ago. So I don't know how they're going to handle these guys. Now, now the stress on the state is, like you just said, Charlie, how are they going to contact trace these guys? Where have they been? If they're not from here, they don't know where. They don't know anybody. Nobody knows them. And do they know every place that they stop? So again, these are just the kinds of things that's going on that makes this a very difficult virus to control. Leona says, okay, get doctors that are treating COVID-19 patients and that they are not dying. Now, Houston's Dr. Emmanuel, again, and I'm going to repeat this again to all of you. The fact that you didn't die. See, we don't judge the seriousness of this virus, although the mortality rate is one of the statistics or the metrics. The people that are not dying are suffering permanent, lifelong damage and medical ailments. So whether you die or you don't die, you have lifelong medical problems. Like you saw, I posted today, remember the bartender, Charlie? He was probably the most famous COVID case so far in Hawaii, besides the actor Daniel Kim or whatever. But remember, he was a young guy. He was an in shape guy. He was a bartender. He got COVID. He went on the ventilator, almost died. Everyone was behind him and praying for him. Well, if you read the update today, his lung performance will never go above 80%. Will never go above 80%. So does that happen with the flu? You get the flu and you're a healthy person, you're a bartender, and you exercise and you kick the flu. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. I understand what Leona's trying to say. And if you're only looking at death rate, then okay, you may have an argument. I don't have a problem getting Dr. Emmanuel on here. The fact of the matter is that we're seeing these patients that are surviving, recovering. Look at Charlie's, the friend that he made, the big burly guy. He cannot even come on the show. He still has not recovered. He's still learning to walk and talk and breathe. But he shows up in the recovered column in your statistics. So is that okay? I don't think so. You want to see your parents, your family, your aunties, your uncles suffer like that? I don't want that to happen to any of you or to anyone. So, it's again, you could make an argument on either side of this. You really could. But if you look at the facts and the data and you listen to the experts that have come forward to talk about the viciousness of this virus, I believe them. I believe them. And Charlie, firsthand, man, you lost a brother. You lost a brother. And so why is Kauai getting penalized for Oahu? Just stop inter-island social traveling, only doctor appointments, emergencies. Okay. I'm sorry, because as I was ranting, I missed someone. I don't know, Charlie, I hope you're looking at these comments because a bunch just went by.
Yeah. Okay.
So sorry.
Well, they haven't stopped the inter-island travel yet. They're talking about it because it was brought up by Maui Mayor to bring back the travel ban for inter-island. But again, I think if anyone saw my post this morning, what I was alluding to, again, is even though it sounds like a criticism, I really would like help. I really would like, what we, and I told Mel, we're going to talk about this tonight, is we're going to start targeting on how we help our fellow counties. What can we bring on our show to help them? Right now, okay, because I talked to Molokai. What Molokai did is classic. They shut the entire island down. They had two, and they made sure that two did not spread to anybody else, and they held it tight, and they wiped it out. Bingo. Okay, almost to the point. People being told, "Hey, no get stupid, get back in the house." Okay, so Molokai did to take care of Molokai. Now, somebody told me today, well, you got to look at the population, 7,325 compared to 1 million. I said, you're right. But if you were to duplicate the process, we could achieve those numbers too. Right now, we're playing catch up. Every time there's an infection, all we're doing is catching up, making sure, are you okay? Do you have enough provisions? Okay, who did you talk to? Okay, all of this is being done by the phone. Nothing is being shown to the infected person. If it was me, I would suit up, go see the infected person, tell the infected person, here is a clip from a surveillance video of when you were at the bar. Is that you right there? Yes. Okay, you named off how many people? Point them to me right now, pointing them out. Okay, what about these other people that are close to you? You know them at all? Throughout the night, did you meet them at all? Okay, if not, as a contact tracer, that would be a concern for me now to find out who the heck is these other people right here, because they're in close proximity. Now, are they doing that now? Answer is no, they're not doing that now. Okay. So my post was addressing the fact that if we don't get a handle on this, it's going to run away from us. So what do? Do we throw up the flags and say, you know what, just open up, what the hell, every man for himself, every woman for themselves? You forget one thing. We get little ones we got to care about. We get kupunas we care about. How are they going to fend themselves?
You graphically showed about who is this other three people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you, Charlie, and you know this. I mean, you've interviewed thousands of people in your career, like myself. You know what's going to happen, right? Hey, you know what, brother?
You gonna jog
I don't know the name. I don't know the name, but he's a mechanic. He was a mechanic at the shop down the road. I just met him that night. In fact, I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
But I can go get him. That's what that does when you go face to face versus the telephone. You hit it right on the head. And we remember early on when we said, why you guys not just hire retired cops?
Mm-hmm.
Plenty of them like go back work, go hang out, pay them a decent wage, pay for their expertise. No. We need a bachelor's degree, and we got to pull you from the medical industry or the medical field. Okay, You get what you pay for. And again, Leona, you bring up a very good point. The problem with this is that when you test positive, they send you home, unless you're dying. When they should be in the hospital and being monitored and getting early treatment. Bingo.
Yeah.
Leona, and that is why when we are in a limited resource capacity, we get limited beds, limited ICU units, limited ventilators. You know what they do? They send you home because they like hold that bed for the real sick person. That is what the problem, from day one, Charlie, that was our focus, the medical resources. It wasn't about visitors, and it was about, we're concerned because of the limited number of medical resources that we have, beds, ventilators, ICU units. That was what drove us to move forward, because we know that we are going to be in trouble very soon if these numbers don't stop. And that was
why don't you tell the folks? Why don't you tell the folks what Dr. Lauren Pang said today?
Oh my gosh, I don't know if you saw Lauren Pang, the Maui Department of Health guy, but he's basically saying, fasten your seatbelts, people, because from what we're seeing, we are going to be releasing the reports very soon about the numbers and about the hospital. And Dr. Josh Green, Lieutenant Governor Josh Green, kind of validated that today by saying he's expecting a lot more. See, I think, like, you know how when Kauai gets a report, Derek is real quick, our mayor, boom, he does a press release. Even if it's after the state's report, even if it's before the state's report, whenever Derek finds out, or I should say the mayor finds out, he does a press release. I think the counties get the information first, right? I mean, when you get your local Department of Health in your county, for us it's Dr. Behrman, for Maui it's Dr. Pang. When they get the report from the state health department, they pass it on to the county administration. County administration should be doing a press release like Kauai does. Mm-hmm. I think what Dr. Pang is saying, and this is when I read between the lines, he's saying we have the information that's going to be released very soon, and it's going to be high. That's what I got from it, and it's going to involve a lot of hospitalization. So, how he knows that, I don't know. That's exactly what came out of his lips, and it was very concerning to me. And I think that's why you notice the tone in Mayor Victorino. He wants to shut down Inner Island because he doesn't want these Honolulu cases to spread to the outer islands. Nothing against Honolulu, but we got to take care of the outer islands as well. And the only way you do that, like you said, the example, it's not even an example. It's the reality of what Molokai did. I remember talking to my friend. In fact, he is on. I saw him on. I remember talking to my friend when he found out. He was in Maui at the time. He was quarantining himself in Maui because he had just come back from Canada with his family, with his daughters, and they went up. He came home. He didn't even want to risk going back to Molokai. He quarantined himself, which, remember, back then it wasn't required, but he quarantined himself in Maui for 14 days because he wanted to be safe. And I appreciate that, Pono. And when he found out about Molokai, the case, I remember being on the phone right here in my carport, and he was like so upset, disturbed, and worried. Oh my God, did the floodgates open in Molokai now? And they all got concerned about how we're going to stop this from spreading. And they did a great job. So, like you said, Charlie, why don't we copy what they did? Why don't we, on the other islands and on Oahu, do the same thing? Find what works and copy.
Well, we've always said this before, and again, I mean, hey, we all get feelings. I'm not going to say I get hurt sometimes, because sometimes, we get people that come on, and sometimes I feel like, I'm not going to mention names. I feel like they're talking down to me. Okay, fine. You feel happy, you flex, fine. Okay, talk down to me. But if I ever get the last word, I'm going to rub it in until you just don't see my face anymore. And that's why I said, be nice. Just be nice. Everything that we talk about, what we're seeing is just following a pattern that's been seen on the mainland. Okay? And remember, they said before, we're kind of like weeks behind the mainland. So we're weeks
Mhm.
behind the mainland, and now it's starting to come to our side. Not that the virus already came over, but just the trend of what's taking place. So I'm always making comments, and the wife said, "Gee, don't be so hard on the state." And I said, that's why I put out that post. It's a criticism, hoping that it falls on somebody's ears up there, that we gotta already start thinking outside of the box because the standard way of operating is not working. It's not working. Okay. So now you take that father and son that today tested positive. Okay. You want to keep inner island travel open. You ask yourself this: how were they picked up at the picked up at Macaulay Shopping Center or Marketplace? How were they ever, or how were they tested so fast and results given so fast to take them to an isolation point? That means that they get the damn test kits over here already. That's all I'm going to say. They wasn't giving one antibody test kit. They was giving the real deal to show if they're positive or not. And yes, they are positive. So when that happens, I get angered because I said, man, we can be using those kits, find out where the damn kits come from, get some more. I mean, that would be my thing. Now, I'm not a politician, so I don't know how that dog and pony show goes on behind the scenes. A tit for a tat, how I gonna get funding to do this. I don't care about that. If my constituents depend on me for their safety, I'm gonna find a way to make them safe. If it means getting more test kits or test people so we know if the virus is around them or not, then hell, like what Kurt Fivella said, he gonna do everything possible for his constituents, right? And I think
Absolutely.
that's what needs to be done.
And I would agree. I would agree wholeheartedly. I think as the battling right now, right? The decision makers are up there battling on what do we do next? How do we go backwards, lock down, and not get upset the people, our constituents, our voters. It's an election year. I just hope and I pray, like Kurt said last night, Senator Favela said, you got to keep the politics out of this. You got to pretend there's no election, and just got to make the decisions based on science, on data, and on facts. And that's why we bring the people we bring on, and for share with all of you the science, the data, the facts, because you can go on Google and you can go on and Google COVID myths, COVID untruths, or whatever, and you can find all kinds of stories out there that dispels what the experts are saying, and that's your choice. You can do that. For me, I like listening to the doctors here in Hawaii, and that are working on patients that have COVID, that have been involved in the on what Hawaii is doing, and that's the direction I have decided to take. And unless proven otherwise, and not by some Google article or some fake news article, but by real facts and data, then I don't intend to change my position. But my position could definitely change at any time if the facts show that. And until we hear that, we will continue on the track. And again, our show is open to anyone. So we try to get all kinds of people. Dr. Fauci, Charlie has Dr. Fauci.
How
We've
many
asked the
How many?
governor from New York. We've asked a lot of people to come on, and we don't get it all. We get the nice response saying we're in the receipt of your letter, but understand these guys are very busy, and what are they going to do? Come on a 1-hour Facebook Live here in Hawaii? So I understand. So we rely on our local resources, our local experts, and we have brought on people from South Korea because they are leading the way. They're leading the way. They have the protocols in place. We talked about those guys from Macaulay Shopping Center today. If we had a facility, if we had a quarantine facility, if we had a very strong quarantine system, that today would not have happened. Today would not have happened. It just would not. And now we took them up to a facility, right? We took them up to an isolation facility. What are they going to scream and cry civil rights violation. Well, it's okay when you test positive. You know, that's where I say, um, when you decide to come to Hawaii, if you choose to come to Hawaii on a vacation, then you make the choice. If you want to come here and spend your 14 days in a quarantine hotel that you will be confined to for 14 days, fine. If you don't want that, then don't come. Don't come here. Come when it's clear, or go somewhere else where there is no quarantine facility. What violation of your civil rights is that if you have a choice? So I don't buy that garbage. I really don't. If we want to put a stop to this as far as the visitors are concerned, then by all means, you got to take that kinds of action. And you got to do this for a month, maybe 6 weeks. Totally isolate our state from everybody else. Deal with our sick people, and then we make the adjustments. But you know, to just talk about it and say, you know, we got to do better, but we don't do better. We don't do anything differently. And then, like I said, Merck Caldwell, he's asking to close the bars. He's going to close the bars for 2 weeks. Okay, big deal. The gyms are still open. Restaurants are still open. Everything else is still open. So if you want to lock this down, and I hate to say this because I don't want to go back there, but that's really your only option right now with the numbers rising. And you got to really strengthen the quarantine, you know, and we got to do that. And one more thing I wanted to talk about tonight, because, you know, we a lot of times we talk about visitors, and we know that a lot of our cases are travel related, but we also have residents that are traveling inter-island and traveling within the island. You saw the clusters at funerals on Oahu, at churches, at gyms, at all of these different places. At, you know, now we're seeing employees of supermarkets testing positive.
You know, I would like to say I noticed one conversation going on with and I'm going to thank her because, you know, she's quoting that doctors, that frontline doctors that talked about hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and zithromycin as a treatment. The reason why, for me, I'm looking at the data, and it works for some, to that person who wrote this. I'm going to tell you firsthand, because my brother went under that regimen, and it didn't help him. In fact, what it did some things to his heart, the hydroxychloroquine, and that's the reason why they pulled it off. They had to ramp it back. Okay, so in some studies, it shows that if a person is attacked early with that regimen, early, then it can hold it down. But if they're in advanced stage or they're getting there, usually from what I've read, it's a therapy. It's not a cure-all. So I hope they understand that. And I'm not saying, you know, I'm glad you brought the question up. But I'm telling you firsthand, my brother was under that protocol and it didn't work. My brother still died. Okay. That's the part that I'm not going to blow a gasket right now, because I keep on telling everybody I'm passionate about this, because I wish there is some kind of miracle drug. It's too late for me. It's too late for my family. We don't have our brother around, but it may not be too late for you if we can get it in place to prevent one more death. That's all I'm saying. If it's going to benefit you, then we can all keep our mouths shut and you can take credit because your family going to stay alive. All I can do is go put flowers on my brother's grave now. That's all I can do. I don't have that option. So what I'm saying is, I wish I had options for you right now to say, yes, like cancer, stage 4, boom, let's do this. Because when you leave the hospital, you're going to be cancer free. I wish I can tell you that, but I can't. Okay, so,
You know, we've heard it from enough doctors that said this virus attacks different patients in different ways. We see some patients come in, respond well to treatment, and walk out the door. We see people that come in, they respond to treatment, and they end up with lifelong ailments. And then unfortunately, we have patients that don't respond, like your brother passed away. That's happening on a daily basis. And one of the things the doctors cannot figure out, and when they put all the numbers together, they cannot come out and say that hydrochloroquine um, works or doesn't work. It works in some patients and it doesn't work in others. That's just the facts. If that was the case, no one would be dead. We wouldn't have had all these deaths across the country. We'll ask Dr. T on Thursday, because he does keep up with all the treatments and they read the journals, because that's where the research should be. Huh?
Dr. Mitz or Dr. T coming on Thursday? Which one?
Dr. T. Dr. T.
Oh, he's coming on Thursday.
Yeah, Dr. Trubkovsky.
Okay, perfect.
So, they read the journals. That's where the data is found. They don't do it. They don't Google it and find the first article that they find that matches what they want. These guys are reading the medical journals, which is where the tests are done and the journals are written. And that is exactly what we try to bring. And we're going to see what he says, because I know from the last time he was on, I'm sure there's been some new developments with all the treatments. We hear about the advances in the vaccines coming up quite frequently now. They're talking more about it. So, it is what it is. And we'll keep on bringing on the experts that we can. And like I said, if you know of anyone, or if you can reach out to anyone that you want to see on our show, by all means, let me know, and we will try to get them on. But at hand right now, the crisis at hand right now is the spikes in Hawaii's cases, is the limited number of resources medically, the beds, and the ventilators and ICU units. That's real. That is not made up, and we need to get a handle on that. The other thing is the spikes that we're seeing, the clusters that we're seeing, not just in businesses but in households. Hawaii is interesting because we have so many multi-generational households, that are living, and you cannot quarantine or isolate effectively. And not everyone can go out and afford to go rent a hotel room for 14 days and have food brought in. So, in the military, when we go on a deployment, we go on a project, we have what is called limiting factors. Those things happen. You cannot change that. We cannot change the fact that it's a multi-generational state. We cannot change the fact that housing is very difficult. We cannot change the fact that we're in a destination area and the hotel rooms aren't, the Motel 5 or whatever, Motel 6, whatever it's called, $19.95 a night. We don't have that. We have real obstacles for our people, and that's what we got to face. And that's just the way it is. So the best thing for us to do is to prevent the virus from getting here. And the only way we're going to prevent the virus is by putting up that isolation wall around the state, making sure people quarantine, and making sure people wear their masks and social distance. I cannot believe the pictures we see from all the islands. Kauai is not immune of the gatherings. And that's where we're going to lead right into the next topic about Polehale. I'm sure many of you have heard that the state today decided that they're going to close Polehale indefinitely. This was, I got a chance to speak with the division chief, Brad, we all know him as Kipi Akana. And he explained that this has been a problem for quite a while. Polehale has been a problem for quite a while. And let me just read this real quick, Charlie, because I'm curious too, because I know, I'm not sure if you knew, this just came out right before the show. And the press release is titled, "People Behaving Badly Leads to Closure of Polehale State Park. Kauai Park is the first casualty of bad behavior under COVID-19 rules. Egregious behavior and overuse has prompted the DLNR Division of State Parks to close Polehale State Park on Kauai's west side indefinitely. State Parks Administrator Kurt Cottrell said, quote, "This decision is based on input from the staff, law enforcement, health officials, and West Kauai residents. Polehale, like Kaena Point on Oahu, has a history of abuse, illegal gatherings, and camping. It is nearly impossible to enforce park rules due to its large size and isolated location. COVID-19 has exacerbated all those issues, and public health and safety concerns contributed to the decision to close the park. Also informing the decision, number one, over 1,000 people camped at Polihale on a recent weekend, though only 80 are legally permitted. Several hundred parked trucks formed a line spanning nearly the entire 2-mile-long beach. And we all saw the pictures. Trucks racing on the beach and driving through dunes which contain both Hawaiian burial sites and critically endangered plants. Overuse has led to widespread defecation within the fragile dune system. Numerous complaints about large gatherings and a lack of social distancing despite emergency orders. State Parks Assistant Administrator Alan Carpenter added, until people can temper their behavior in the interest of everyone, we cannot responsibly leave places like Polihale open. There were many who did not want it reopened after recent road repairs due to the coronavirus concerns, but we wanted to give folks a chance to enjoy it and prove that they could treat places with respect in the absence of tourists. And that Polihale, they failed in that regard, and it needs a rest. It's almost sport in Hawaii to blame lots of things and issues on visitors to the state. There are only 6,200 visitors currently in quarantine across the state, and these numbers are now against a backdrop of more than 1 million residents. Typically, tourists are compliant and on vacation. Their impact has been due to increasing magnitude and consumption of our public spaces and impacting our rural communities. We cannot attribute the recent spate of vandalism, theft, graffiti, and bad behavior on tourists. It is now us. And there's more, but I'm going to stop there because I think you get the gist. We have not followed the rules. We here on Kauai have not followed the rules. And now we lose a resource. The state finally has had enough. You know, DLNR over here, the enforcement group, only have 7 officers, 7. And typically, you know, because they have days off, typically they have 4 or 3 working on a single day. And they have kalalau. They have all the state parks, state beaches. Of course, they have Polihale, they have Koke'e. They take care of boating, fishing, and hunting. They cannot be everywhere. Kippy was telling me he gets over 30 calls a day about social distancing issues that they just don't have the manpower. Department of Health sets the requirement for restrooms at all beaches and parks, even county beaches. They have a capacity of park users based on the amount of toilet facilities. And for Polihale, the capacity is 60. I know the press release said 80, but according to Kippy, it's 60. So legally, based on Department of Health requirements, we should only have 60 campers at Polihale. And we know that Father's Day, Memorial Day, we had well over 1,000 on each of those weekends. So, and you know, Polihale is serviced by a water tank. They have a water tank. They have a water tank that is filled, and that is what is used to flush the toilets and so forth. And yet our local residents go up there and they tap into this water tank and they create water slides on the dunes. And they camp Friday, Saturday, and by Sunday, the water tank is empty and the toilets don't flush. What they found at Polihale was numerous defecation spots along the sand, in the heiau, toilet paper flying around. So you know what? While I'm sad that Polihale was closed for the local people had more than enough warning to do the right thing. And they again, it comes down to a choice. And we made the wrong choice. So now we lose a resource. I want to thank Kippy Akana, the Chief Division Chief Kippy, and his guys for doing their best. And this is going to be a huge relief for them and a burden off of them so they can get to other important functions. But expect more closures if we cannot follow the simple rules.
Well, I also wanted to address a question that was brought by a viewer. Why not question the source of the virus and bring charges to China? We brought on a world-renowned virologist, director of the Institute, International Vaccine Institute, um, and he's a Hawaii boy, Dr. Jerome Kim, and his background is very, very impressive. He's basically the one that found the vaccine for AIDS, and we brought and the question was asked about that because I personally asked him, can this virus been hatched in a lab? And he said that when you develop vaccines, you will take a known virus and then you'll try to alter, I guess, the molecular structure of that virus by splitting whatever they got to split. When that virus is now tampered by humans, it leaves a fingerprint on that virus. So the virus, all the viruses they got from China, individuals with that virus, and they looked at it, none of it had that fingerprint. That's how they're confident. They know that that virus was not hatched in a lab. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know. I mean, the expert himself told the world, and he is consulted by many different countries about this situation. And he's located in South Korea, and countries from all over the world are consulting with them. It's the race to the top to get a vaccine. And so when he was on our show, I mean, you can go on Mel Raposo's YouTube channel. You can pull up that segment and you can get it firsthand what he said about how they identify whether a virus is man-made or not, how they do that. And based on, and this is not only him, but all the other experts that consult with each other, they have all come to that agreement that there are no identifiers that would indicate this virus, COVID-19, was man-made. Okay.
Yeah, I really want to get him back on at some point, just to, because things are changing so quickly and every day, and would really be nice to I know, I mean, just to have him on the show where everyone is trying to get him. I mean, if you look at that guy's resume, and like you said, Charlie, he's in demand from many countries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping we can get him back on. I just hope we can. I know, I'm not sure, James. I know you posted, you all work for the citizens, correct? Not the other way around. So we all should question authority and the source of information always. I'm not sure if you know Charlie and I, but we don't work for the government. We're two individuals. I work for the county in my regular day job, but this show has nothing to do with that. This show is purely an effort that Charlie and I put on for COVID and is not related to my work. But and I agree with you. Yeah, the politicians do work for us, and we do have the right to question, and we do question. Trust me, we do question, and rather than question via email, we bring them on the show and question them. That way, you all get the answers the same time we do. So we are trying our best, and I definitely agree with that statement that we have the right to question any authority out there. You also posted about punishing the people. I think, like I said, and I'm assuming you're talking about Pole Hale, capacity of 60 campers. There was over 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand the punishing. You see, when people are warned over and over and over and over and over and they don't listen, then you resort to that. It's just the way it works. I can tell you as a former law enforcement officer, you got 1,000 drinking people on a beach and you show up with 4 or 5 officers, there's not much you can do. I'll be honest with you. They don't stop watching the shows on TV, the cop shows where 1, 2 Rambos and Cobras and all of those guys can go in, and it doesn't work that way. And the reality is you just don't have the resources available. And now with the gate closed, it's for everyone's safety and for everyone's health. And I hope you guys can appreciate that. I do. And I support that right now because of the abuse. They closed it because they felt that it was affecting COVID and we had 60 permitted campers there, and the bathrooms were all working, and they were using the bath. They weren't polluting the beach with their doo-doo. That'd be a different story, but that's not what's happening out there. So it is what it is. It's not punishment. It's taking care of the Aina. It's taking care of our resources. It's a sacred area. Many parts of Poleale has heiau, and there's nothing to do with punishment. It's respect of the land and taking care of the Aina, and we haven't done that. So shut them down, let it rest, and let it breathe. I don't know how you feel about that, Charlie, but that's where I sit.
Well, like anything else, when I eat too much, I stop, I let it rest so I can breathe. No, I'm gonna keep, you know, folks, we love being on with you. And if Mel and I ever caught the impression that you wanted us to stop, I tell you right now, I'd be the first one to tell you, okay, we do what you folks want, and we would stop. But based on some of the threats we received in the past when we were gone for one night unexpectedly, we said, Mel, what did we create? What happened? And I tell you, we just love bringing the information to you folks. We're over here monitoring the dialogue, and for the most part, it's been civil tonight, and I'm very, very appreciative. We can all agree to disagree sometimes. I mean, even Mel and I, we disagree on certain things, but he'll present the argument, and if it's convincing enough, I'll change my mind, and vice versa. But that's how you get to certain areas, okay? When it comes to this medical stuff, that's why both he and I agree. We're going to bring on the doctors. We're going to try our best to bring, I'm really trying hard to bring on another gentleman that was recommended by Dr. Kim, and this guy, Peter Hostes, over at Baylor. Very, very, very knowledgeable. But what I took from that show about when he referred to Peter Hostes, because Dr. Kim is always talking to him, was the fact that Dr. Kim's former boss, while he was in the military, is now the head of the CDC. And that Dr. Burke, who is now on the COVID task force for the President of the United States, that she worked with Dr. Kim together. And they converse all the time. So when Dr. Kim came on, it's as if you were right there. And that's why I said, if you missed that segment that we had, I urge you to go back to the YouTube channel and play it. And then, because we asked a lot of questions, and he did all the talking with all the answers. But what was neat about it is that he broke it down in layman's term so we could all understand. He did not keep it high in the ozone where we would be confused. He never did that. He brought it down to layman's term. And it was good. It was a good show. But again, like I said, I did want to talk about a small bit for you folks out there that we know Honolulu is having a hard time. Okay. Maui, Big Island, they're doing good. They're doing good. We're doing good. Okay. And so, but what I propose tonight is that, we're going to try to go to each of the islands, try to get what's on their radar, what's most important to them. Okay. And bring the discussion to their island. We bring them to each of the islands. We know we're gonna try to finish up with Honolulu. Okay. If you was with us last night, you heard Senator Kurt Favela. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. He has a tall order, but he's passionate about the people of his district, and he's passionate for the people of this entire state. And he's on the COVID special committee for the state legislature, and he brings up some good points. And so if you folks don't feel that politicians don't fight for you, well, maybe where you're at, maybe that's your politician. And Favela is not even in our district, but he's fighting for us. And if you get a chance to listen to that man, then you'll be very grateful that you got somebody over there who's thinking not only about his own district of Eva Beach, but he's thinking about the entire state as a whole. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
The best way we can help everybody is by practicing our own individual personal responsibility. And I know I say this every night over and over and over. We talk about this every day at work, every day. It's like, you got to wear your mask. You got to wear your mask. I posted a study today from Florida Atlantic University that showed a very, very graphic video of how the masks stop the particles. But you got to wear your masks and you got to social distance. That is what we all can do individually to help our state get better. That's it. Wash your hands, don't touch your face, all of those things. But critically, the masks, you got to wear your mask. And then the social distancing is so key. That's proven. And I know some of you posted about statements that certain people made back in 2020, 21, 22, whenever in the beginning, when certain experts said that the mask wasn't as critical, that in fact the virus, I can remember when they said that the virus was only spread by people that had symptoms. You remember that, Charlie? And again, none of that was malicious. That's just all they knew at that time. It was so new. This virus was so new. And then they found out that no, 40% of the people are asymptomatic. And remember, they started talking about, well, this thing can only be contracted or passed through the particles,
Droplets.
through the droplets. And then they found out now, well, the droplets can survive on certain surfaces for an extended period of time. Well, that wasn't the belief early on. But we know what we know today. And that is the information we got to rely on, what we know today. Not what we knew 2-3 months ago or what someone said 2 or 3 months ago. We got to rely on what is known today and practice that today. That's how we help ourselves. That's how we help our families. And that's how we help our neighbors.
Yes.
You're not going to help anyone if you're running around without a mask, if you're running around hugging and kissing people that you haven't seen, and people that are not in your immediate family. That's not what's going to help. That's going to hurt.
Well,
so that's my plea.
They got to learn to wear masks because, sometimes I look out there, people missing all their front grill. Put on a mask until such time you fix your teeth and get your teeth back in order.
Yeah.
Here he goes.
Here we go. It's always good to end on a good note, man. It's always good to end on a good note. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all that come on every single night. I sorry. Some of you guys are battling between each other on the comments. Listen, guys, we all live here. We all one big family, and we can agree to disagree. No need to get nasty and all of that. But we try not to. We definitely discourage that. Mask surfing is not allowed. No, man, it's not. Hey, one day, James, we're gonna sit down and gonna have a beer, man. I think you're a really good guy. I really enjoy your dialogue. I really do. But seriously, we are still one big family here, the whole state, and more specifically Kauai. And we just gotta do what we have to do to get through this. Some people look better with the mask.
One person put on what I said, and don't fall in love with someone wearing a mask, because when they take it off. Oh, boy.
Like you said, go sleep, Charlie. You're giggling already. You're laughing. It's time to go sleep. Look, James Young is saying his stomach hurts. I know. When Charlie starts, I can start, and then we're not going to be able to end this show, So I'm going to have to not look at him. I'm almost going to have to mute him. But anyway, tomorrow night we'll have our Health and Education Coalition. That'll be very interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. And, like everyone else, we don't know what they're going to say. We have no idea what they're going to say. And then, of course, on Thursday, Dr. Tripkovsky from the Doctors of Waikiki. And that'll be fun. He's always entertaining. And then Friday, our mayor, who I got to say, man, has done an excellent job during the COVID. And he's definitely taking care of Kauai. And we're thankful and blessed to have him. So he'll be on Friday night. And then Saturday, heaven knows, we may do our we may move our um, town hall Thursday to Saturday.
Yeah.
So some of you all that have the keyboard warriors that have been punching away tonight, you can come on Saturday and we can see your face because it's always better to see your face. Charlie, don't fall off your throne. Laughter is good for the soul.
No, I just laugh because I can just picture somebody with the mask on talking. Her. You take off the mask and you go, ah! Put it back on, put it back on.
Everybody loves your laugh. You
Oh,
know, I think we're gonna have to start wearing masks on the show, Charles.
yes. Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
I'm
I'm ready
never,
to,
I'm never far away from my mask, guys. Let me tell you,
yeah.
I'm never far away. I even got a neck strap over here. Anyway, so don't forget to join us tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Charlie, any closing comments
No, I
before we
just like
wrap
to
this
say
bad boy up?
thank you, folks. You know, tonight we had a discussion. A lot of things were you so mean, Charlie. You know what? I'm sorry, but I'm not. I know I'm mean. I know I'm mean. I was like that on stage, boy. I tell you. But anyway, to all of you out there, I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us. You know, we just try to bring everything forward because these are some issues. It's going to get down to one thing. If we don't control this, and we're hurting right now, I can almost guarantee you the state will not open up. It will not open up because until we can get our contact tracing in place so they can fire on all cylinders and tackle the problem, they're going to have a really, really hard time. They're going to have a really, really hard time. And that's why the suggestions we make, and we said it before, put the pride aside, get a lot of retired police officers like ourselves that can run to the aid because we're all in it together. We can use our experience. And you know what? If it gets to the point that we're running into a medical situation, we'll pass it off. But at least we're going to dig as much as we can to get way beyond where we're at now. And just remember, folks, if we can't do it now, the state will not open. Do you want to see that? I don't want to see that. I want the state to open. But let's knock these numbers down. That's the only way we can do it. So anyway, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, Charles, go read the comments because it's always fun, man. Yeah, thank you guys again. You know, we appreciate you guys joining us every night.
Oh,
And hey, Kramer living on Maui, but you love watching you folks. Yeah. Well,
I know Patricia. She said I may, if I offended anybody out there with no more teeth, you know, well, I didn't mean to do it on purpose. Okay. Yes, Mel.
was that like that an apology or?
No, I just answering somebody. They say that's mean because I might be offending someone who's ambiguous about their missing teeth.
Oh,
So
oh, okay, yeah, all right.
so
All right. Well, you
well,
know
just
that's the
like
thing about
me,
life, bro.
yeah,
We cannot edit them out, man.
yeah, just
Cannot
like
edit
yeah,
them out.
I know I'm missing here. So anyway,
Ernie Kanekoa just came on. Ernie Kanekoa just came on. Aloha, Ernie.
yep. Hello, Ernie.
Um, so tomorrow night again, 7 o'clock, man. We'll be on. Gonna be an exciting show. Hopefully, we don't know. Maybe they disagree with what we think, Charles. But then again, it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. We love you guys all. You guys take care. God bless. Stay safe and remember, wear your mask, social distance, wash your hands. We'll see you guys tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Love you guys. God bless. Take care.
Hello. Okay. Well, folks.